North Korea, recognized as one of the world's most repressive nations, operates under stringent military control, making it challenging to ascertain the true state of affairs between the country and its citizens. While the nation's nuclear weapons arsenal garners significant attention, there is much more transpiring behind the scenes. As a totalitarian regime, North Korea has compelled numerous individuals to flee, often risking their lives in the process. While some successfully escape the country, others face unfortunate outcomes. Presented here are 5 remarkable tales of escape from North Korea, the world's most oppressive nation. Number 5. Seong-Ho escapes on crutches. Escaping North Korea takes a lot of effort, as the 2 escapes before this clearly show. Whether driving, swimming or walking, it takes a huge amount of effort and zeal from a person to escape. But imagine if someone escaping from the world's most repressive country was a disabled person. Well, one person that dared such an attempt was Seong-Ho. Seong-Ho's story started in 1996 when he was a teenager. At that time, North Korea was in a deep state of famine, and its citizens were starving. This devastating famine caused Ji and his siblings to eat grass and rats to alleviate hunger. This was unhealthy for them, so Ji went to source more ways to get actual food and something better for the family to stay nourished. For this reason, he opted to try and steal some pieces of coal from a train, an event he would remember forever, as he tried to steal the coal from the train to trade it for food. He passed out from hunger, was hit by a train as a result of the accident. He became disabled. That event made life even tougher for him and his family, but he didn't give up in the course of finding a greener pasture. Ji managed to escape the walls of North Korea, and he made the breathtaking 6,000-mile trip across the Toman River into China, and eventually moved down to the country south and walked into Luan, then Thailand. From one country to another, a total exhaustive trip of the 6,000 miles he made on crutches. From there, Ji was sent to South Korea and was fitted with a prosthetic arm and leg. This event happened roughly 2 decades ago, and now Ji works with other North Korea defectors to help transmit information into the reclusive state. He was also invited into the Capitol in the United States by Trump, where he told his story, and also showed the crutches he used while escaping from North Korea. He keeps the crutches as a symbol to remind him of how far he has come over the years on his journey to freedom. Number 4. North Korean elite escapes on a raft with his friend. Although military officers escaping from North Korea is rare, some still happen. In fact, this escape we're about to discuss is about a former North Korean spy who defected from the country with his friend on a raft. While he was in service, Chol Yun-lee worked for something that can be regarded as the National Intelligence Service, was part of the people responsible for monitoring over 1,000 people through Inform, and as a member of the elite, he had access to whatever he wanted and had unique credentials that enabled him to travel around North Korea with no issue. But as he kept working, Chol Yun-lee saw his country's status and could not continue with all he saw, and how his government operated then. He found a reason to escape when he interacted with a South Korean organization that came to deliver rice for charity and to prevent starvation in rural areas. At that point, Chol Yun-lee talked to them about life on the other side of the border. That way he devised a plan with his friend, began planning their escape. Since Chol Yun-lee was stationed in South Hwayne province, it wasn't ideal to go all the way up to the Chinese border because it would have looked suspicious to his colleagues. His friend also could not travel north, so they thought about traveling through the Yellow Sea. The distance of the Yellow Sea being 3.7 miles, the DUO decided it would be okay to escape through the Yellow Sea instead. Sadly, they had no access to a boat and couldn't raise any suspicions. This made them resort to swimming across the sea. Once ready with food and other supplies, They got into the water and started swimming 2 hours later. It was becoming tough for them, so they threw all their food, shoes and pants off and continued to swim. They also had other issues, especially when they noticed a patrol boat. They were scared for their lives as they didn't know whether they had crossed the country's border, and if North Korean officers found them escaping, they would be shot on sight. Since the patrol boat was moving towards them, and it had no flag, they hid out of the fear. Then, due to the weather conditions, and having swam in the sea for hours, they couldn't continue swimming any longer with barely any clothes, and they discovered some plastic on an island and some old wooden pallets, and transformed them into a makeshift raft by tying them with styrofoam. On this raft, they stayed for hours before the South Korean officers found them and kept them safe. Unknown to them, they had survived the terrors of the Yellow Sea, crossed the border long ago, and had been in South Korean territory. Number 3. Soldier escapes while pursued with bullets. This happened in November 2017 with the son of a North Korean General Oh Chung-song. Song himself was also a soldier in the country's military, and the time of his escape was so unbelievable as, according to him, he did not have any intentions to escape when he woke up that morning. While growing up in North Korea, Song's father was a major general, so he lived a comfortable life until a sudden decision was made that forced him to run away from several bullets. It all started when Song got into trouble with his friends to get his mind off the incident. He decided to go for a couple of drinks at the bar. After having a fun time with some beers, he got back into his car and started driving back to the military base. As he got closer to the military base, Song was supposed to stop at a checkpoint, but he broke through it instead. That was where the race for survival began. He realized this because he could be punished severely or even imprisoned for such a violation, and being in a drunken state. The only thing that made sense to him was to put the pedal to the metal, which he did just after breaking through the checkpoint. Immediately, other military officers also got in their military vehicles, hot on Song's pursuit. Song himself, having hit the gas pedal to the limit, was moving at a very high speed, which almost complicated matters as he crashed into a ditch. By this time, the border was close, so Song ran the rest of the way to the fence while the other officers were hot on his trail. He made it across the border regardless, but not without a parting gift of 5 bullet wounds from his military friends. Due to the bullet wounds, Song became unconscious, but was found by South Korean soldiers who took him to safety and a hospital. After he recovered, Song was glad he escaped, saying he had no regrets about leaving his country. Number 2. Song Gil. You can't blame the people who defect from North Korea to other countries, because even top officials in the North Korean government are also running away from the totalitarian state. Song Gil is a top official who defected from North Korea to other countries. Gil was a top North Korean diplomat in the North Korean embassy in Rome, where Joe was employed as acting ambassador. He was the acting official until his tenure was almost completed in 2018. Then he disappeared with his wife. For almost 2 years, his whereabouts were unknown. This puzzled the entire country, because if he wasn't present at the Rome embassy, where could he be? The military officials searched for the couple until South Korean lawmaker Hae Ta-kyung confirmed report that Joe had defected to South Korea in 2019. There have been numerous requests for information, so here it is. It has confirmed that former Ambassador Song Gil entered South Korea in July last year and is under the government's protection, Ha wrote on his Facebook page. With this defect, Joe is the government official with the highest profile to have defected from the totalitarian regime since their Hae Ta-kyung, former deputy ambassador to the United Kingdom, fled to South Korea in 2016. How it all happened remains a mystery. Italy, as being without a North Korean ambassador, since Pyongyang's former envoy was expelled in 2017, following the country's 6th nuclear test. Jeong joined the embassy in May 2015 as the 3rd secretary, according to statements from South Korean lawmakers. When the diplomat fled, even the Italian Foreign Ministry was surprised at such a development. Their statements said it had gotten a notice from the North Korean embassy that Jeong and his wife had vacated the embassy's premises. 4 days later, only Jeong's daughter returned to North Korea together with some female staff from the North Korean embassy after she asked to be reunited with her grandparents. Turned out that Jeong and his wife defected after all, and the news was not announced until 2 years later. Number 1. Jeong Min-Woo. While some citizens and officials had to risk their lives to survive and escape successfully from North Korea, some defectors had mutual agreements to leave, such as Jeong Min-Woo. Jeong Min-Woo was a soldier in North Korea before he defected, and the way he escaped is quite thrilling compared to the rest we talked about earlier. When Jeong Min-Woo decided to leave, he announced his wishes to the guards, the border that he wanted to leave the country. He was able to leave without hassle or injuries, since they were all military men. That was how he began his journey. Jeong Min-Woo made up his mind to leave while on duty, so he left North Korea in military uniform. As a refugee, it wouldn't be proper to keep wearing the uniform around as other countries. Military may see things from a different perspective. So, when he got to Thailand, he borrowed some clothes from friends he had there and kept his uniform safe in a bag. He kept it tight in case there was going to be a need to return to North Korea as a military uniform and ID card of valuable assets in the country, enabling them to do almost anything. In North Korea, Jeong Min-Woo wore his uniform daily, even off duty, just to retain the sense of respect awarded to military officers from civilians. Otherwise, someone could steal a cigarette from him or attempt to pick a fight. He wore it so much he couldn't wear ordinary clothes anymore. However, that had to change when he got to South Korea. When he got there, he had to hand over his uniform to the South Korean intelligence just to be certain that he truly defected and wasn't some kind of spy. However, he was able to get another uniform, the summer uniform made of cotton. Jeong Min-Woo wears the uniform whenever he appears on Now, On My Way to Meet You, a talk show, where people from North Korea reflect and discuss their experiences. Of all the ones you watched today, which ones caught your attention? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.